Welcome back to This is a Commander channel, where this is a Commander channel, and today I'm going to talk about Commander Tough Rules and Cool Interactions, episode 12. This episode is covering all things related to the Ninjutsu ability. If you want to pull up the comprehensive rules yourself and head over to section 702.49, that will show the rules specific to the ninjutsu ability, but in short, it's a relatively simple ability when you read the rules text for it, but when you really start to think about it in a bunch of different scenarios, it starts to become clear just how cool the ability really is. So let's start with the actual rules for it. CR 702.49a says that, quote, Ninjutsu is an activated ability that functions only while the card with Ninjutsu is in a player's hand. It reads Ninjutsu cost, and that's it. And that means cost. Reveal this card from your hand. Return an unblocked attacking creature you control to its owner's hand. Put this card onto the battlefield from your hand, tapped and attacking. So basically, you attack, your opponent chooses not to block, and you ninjutsu out a cool ninja that probably has an ability that triggers on combat damage, or it's a higher power than the mana invested into the ability. If it were that easy, though, I wouldn't be making this video. So now let's get into the weird things about ninjutsu, and also let's clear up some things while we're at it. The creature you ninjutsu back to your hand must be an unblocked creature, which means you can't activate ninjutsu until you have gone through the declare blockers step. See the rule 508.3f for more about this. Also, I just did an episode on declaring creatures as an attacker, and you should know that when you ninjutsu in a creature, it will not trigger cards like Coastal Piracy or Ishin Two Heavens as one. Another thing that you cannot do with ninjutsu is change which opponent is being attacked or which planeswalker is being attacked. The rules text on ninjutsu say that the new creature enters the battlefield tapped and attacking, and if you watched episode 11, in which I made a little note how this means that you can change who or what is being attacked, that cannot actually be done with ninjutsu. It has a special rule in the CR with rule 702.49c that explicitly states that, quote, it will be attacking the same player or planeswalker as the creature that was returned to its owner's hand, end quote. And bummer. So, now onto the fun stuff. I'll note that Comprehensive Rules 511.3 states that creatures remain in combat and are still considered attacking all the way until the end of combat step, which takes place after the combat damage step. This means that you can ninjutsu a creature from your hand again after combat damage has been dealt, which does not mean that it gets to deal additional combat damage, but this can still be advantageous if you're wanting to keep the shell game trickery going to next turn. You may have a specific ninja that you really want to make sure is the one that hits the opponent. So if you have 3 creatures attacking a player with only 2 blockers, they will have to let one of those 3 through, and this means you can ensure that the ninja is back into your hand and ready to swap and ninjutsu it out with your next unblocked creature. You can use ninjutsu to dodge targeted removal spells, which is pretty cool. A dedicated episode on this will be happening in the future, but long story short, if someone tries to cast a Swords to Plowshare on your, let's go with Silver Fur Master, he's a cute little guy, when he is attacking and has been declared as an unblocked creature, then you can ninjutsu out a creature to swap with him, and now the Swords to Plowshare will fail to exile that Silver Fur Master. Going deeper into this, you can take that same Silver Fur Master that's now in your hand and ninjutsu it right back out onto the battlefield, still tapped and attacking and unblocked, and of course, still safe from these swords. But wait, there is more. You can also ninjutsu to save yourself from board wipes. Not all board wipes, but some. If an opponent casts Wrath of God on their turn, no help. If they cast a rout with the flash add-on during your pre-combat main phase, no help. But if you're going to go against something like a Settle the Wreckage or a fairly high storm count of wing shards, then you can save one or possibly all but one of your creatures. This way works in that we need to take another close look at the ability itself and see that part about returning an attacking creature to your hand is not a part of the ninjutsu effect, but is actually part of the ability's cost. This means we can activate it over and over and over for every attacking and unblocked creature that we have out, as long as we have the mana to do so. All of the ninjutsu abilities will go onto the stack, and only the first one that resolves will actually put the creature out onto the battlefield. All the others will just fizzle into oblivion and have a bunch of creatures on our field being returned back to our hand nice and safe, not being board wiped. Slight follow-up to the last thing, if someone tries to instant speed respond to the creature that you're returning to your hand in order to do the ninjutsu ability, they actually cannot do anything about this as it's part of the cost of the ability, and that's paid before any player would receive priority. Lastly, First Strike and Double Strike and how those two things interact with ninjutsu. This will be located in the Comprehensive Rules 510.4. You can indeed attack with your First Strike creature, let it hit for its combat damage during the First Strike damage part of the step, then you'll be given priority, allowing you to activate ninjutsu and bring out your creature, and then the game will see that it is an attacking creature that hasn't yet dealt combat damage, so it will deal combat damage when all the other non-First Strike creatures are dealing their damage. This is the same case also for Double Strike. And going a little deeper, if you have a card out like Archetype of Courage that gives all of your creatures First Strike, even when your new creature comes out onto the battlefield, the game will see that it hasn't yet dealt combat damage, so your First Strike ninja will deal its combat damage during the non-First Strike part of the combat damage step. And there you have it. That's all the things that I can think of for now to mention about ninjutsu. I guess I could cover other things about how it's a creature ability while in your hand and not an actual cast of a creature spell. So anything that cares about increasing or decreasing the mana cost of a creature spell will have no impact on ninjutsu. And also you will not draw cards from effects from like Beast Whisperer, but you will draw from effects like a Guardian Project. Okay, now that actually is all I have to say about ninjutsu. I hope that you all have learned at least one thing about the ability from watching this video, and I also hope that you found it entertaining at least. Please subscribe for more videos talking about tough rules and cool interactions. I still have more than 10, probably like 15 things to talk about from the new Kamigawa set. And I may just do some videos covering a bunch of cards at a time. Also, beyond Kamigawa specific things, I have well over 100 more things that I'd like to discuss and make videos on. So there's plenty of videos coming out over the next few years